Hey everyone, I have John here with me today, and it is exactly 1 week until Christmas, so hopefully you've gotten almost all your shopping out of the way and all your plans in place. But today we wanted to talk about, or I wanted to talk about, and I dragged John on here to talk about buying board games for people who have a lot of board games or who know a lot about board games, know what they like. It can become really difficult to buy for someone who is really into the hobby. Maybe you're less into the hobby or just in a different area of the hobby. And so I've been just this past week thinking about strategies for how to buy board games. Or if you were someone who's not even into board games, you wanted to buy a board game for somebody who's into board games, where would you start? And so, like I said, I've been thinking this past week about how to strategize around that. And I've been trying to induce John to think about this with me as well. And he's actually had probably the best suggestions. But I think most of them circulate around getting yourself on Board Game Geek, because they have some really neat tools on there that you can use. And if people are really, again, into the hobby, generally they have a Board Game Geek account. And I think the main thing would be you just would have to discreetly figure out their username. I think that would be like the biggest challenge to, not letting on you're trying to get them a board game. Maybe you'd have to go like to a third party, figure out something to that effect. But if you could figure out their Board Game Geek profile, I think the number one place really to go is the wish list, right? If you go to their profile, you can see that they've got a list of games on their wish list. But if you're like John, tell us what your wish list is like.
I don't know what it's like. What is my wish list like? I have it very organized.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a lot of games on there.
But like what kind
But I have
of
them ranked from 1 to 4 from interest. So you on a wish list, you pick how interested in the game you are. But
what's difficult about John's wish list?
Yeah, what is difficult? Oh, nothing's in print, or I'd already own it.
That's right. So that makes it really hard. But that might not be the case with everybody. Maybe for some people it's just simply the upfront cost of a game, or maybe it was in stock and then out of stock, or...
Well, okay, so one thing that's important is that when you're new to the hobby, you don't want to buy too many games up front. You're too many games in one genre. You want to explore, you want to taste the different types of games and figure out what you like before you invest and buy too many games of one type, just to find out that that's not what you're going to enjoy playing after you've played it 5, 10, 20 times. Move on to different games. But so you said you wanted to find the Board Game Geek user profile. Assuming you don't even have that, another way to go about it is to figure out how many players they generally play with. Do they play with their spouse? Do they play with one other person? Do they have a larger game group? Knowing that, if they're the life of the party and they only play games when there's 20 people around, you got to just focus on party games. And so I think that the player count really matters.
That's a good point.
And there's geek lists, so you can probably link to geek lists for best with 2, best with 3, best with 4, but there's geek lists for all sorts of that stuff. And so I would take a look at the geek list, see what are the best games, and then I think what Sydney's getting to is that you compare with what they already own if they track their games on Board Game Geek. A lot of people may not do that, so maybe you just have to dig around their house. Or
don't break and enter.
Explore their house casually. Just be observant. We have our games out so that anyone who comes over can explore. Not that we're saying you should get us games. Seriously, we have enough games.
Yeah, we have
everything I want's out of print. So.
That's right.
But that was one thought. So player count, figure out what they have, whether that's on their BGG user profile or just by looking at their collection. And then picking well-reviewed games. One of the things we were talking about was how to find games that are similar to games they may like. Now, a couple thoughts. So one is, if they're new to gaming and they don't have a large collection, then you got a pretty easy choosing around. There's a lot of good games out there that they don't already own. And they don't know what they like, so the chances are they're going to enjoy playing it anyway. So, if that's the case, there's two things. One of the things, and you can probably show a screen view of this, but you can go to the most owned games filter by most owned games, because there's a good chance if a lot of people own it and track it on because a lot of people own Monopoly, but they don't track it on BGG. If they own it, a lot of people own it and track it on BGG, then they're probably gamers and they're probably reasonably well liked games by many people. They're not going to be obscure or offensive to a large majority of people, which is what you're trying to do if you're trying to get a Christmas present.
That reminds me of a thing we said before, is that what you're trying to do is not necessarily even get them like their favorite game or the game of all games from you really just are trying to get them a good game is like a good present that is a good addition to their collection that they already have. Because even when you go to the wish list, even if somebody had a really good wish list, they, again, maybe their number one choices are all out of print, but that doesn't mean their number two choices are bad choices.
A lot of times you end up playing games that aren't your number one game because either other people know it, so another reason to buy somebody a popular game to expand their library. It's easy just to pop it out. You don't have to teach any rules. It's short. Maybe they like long games, but you're just buying them something else to fit a different niche in their collection. There's lots of good reasons, so it's good to have popular games. We like niche games, but we like popular games as well.
Yeah, it always depends on who we're playing with, pretty much, and what we know the rules to, what feels
context,
like,
and time. Now we have a baby. It's we're not playing some of the games we would have played before because they need lots of people. Yeah. We play long games over many sessions, but we can't do that with many people, not as easily. So
yeah. Okay, back to your first thought stream.
So Geek List.
But we were saying about trying to find similar games.
Yeah, if you just feel like looking for the needle in the haystack, then just go to the overall game list, sort by the top games of all time, click through a couple until you find one that might fit their preference that they don't already own. Remember, these are gates you have to get through, so they don't own it yet. That's an important gate.
The most important gate.
Fits their player count is an important parameter. It's not a gate like they don't own it. The owning one's important. The
player count.
Player count's a good guide, and then you work from there. So look for themes that they're interested in that are also highly reviewed. And then geek lists, so best with 2, best with 3, best with 4. So if you're trying to focus on a player count that they're interested in. And so the BGG has this feature where if you click on the game name on a game page has a little rating beside it.
Hexagon.
If you click the little hexagon that has the 7.2, 7.5, whatever, and you look on the sidebar, down at the side there's a little section that says view similarly rated games, and if you click that, there will be a couple fields you can fill out, and the standard fields aren't great, but what I like to do is I put a high rating. So it's the first field is minimum users who rate this game between, and I think the default's 9 and 10. I'll just put it in. I'll start with 10. People who rate this game at 10, and then similarly rated games, minimum users. I think the default setting is 20 users or 20 reviews. I put that up to 100 or whatever.
Depends on the game.
You might get 8,000 hits, and you don't want 8,000 hits. So you just try to narrow down the filter by putting in a higher number of users. And then you run the list, ignore so you'll get a list of games. And a lot of them will be expansions, because everybody who likes a game buys the expansion and rates it a 10. So ignore those. But if you look at other games, and they'll show you the game name and the rating, it's BGG's way of simply trying to show you, if you like this, you might like these 10 other games, or however many. We tried it with Catan. It worked pretty well.
It was surprising, because you thought at first it wouldn't
I thought
that great, because you just think so many people played Catan, reasonable number of people rated highly, that this list would just be populated with a ton of other stuff.
I thought everybody would just rate Catan well, but I guess the detail is people who rated at 10. So these are people who really like Catan. Right. What else does the average of that group like? Yeah. And it was Puerto Rico, Agricola, all the ones that are at the top of the list. And those are all great games. So if they don't own them, then, that's...
And they were popular. Like, there's lots of people who have rated them. I thought that was another reasonably important parameter. Like, besides wanting an average player count, you want that to be representative of like a large number of gamers as well. Because some of them will have a high average rating, but there'll only be 50 people who ranked Catan a 10, who then ranked this game for this, you know, a high and then got that average rating. But if you actually look for the ones that are high in number and high in rating, that might help you also sort out those top ones and narrow something down, because, you know, you're probably only buying one game for somebody.
The other thing to think about is the playing time. So not almost every game on BGG has a playing time. If you know the people well, I mean, you're buying them a present, so you should know them well, you might be able to guess whether these are the type of people who want to sit there for 6 to 12 hours and play an epic long marathon of a game, or somebody who just wants 5, 10, 20-minute sessions of something. Which
that's like, so part of the reason I even was thinking about doing a video like this was because, you know, there's 1,000 videos that'll tell you, go buy Codenames, go buy, I don't know, like Catan, like more entry games, like, and they're all those lists are going to be similar, but so that's why I was thinking
popular
more about
games that are cheap.
Yeah, like, you know,
everybody's heard of them.
Exactly.
You've heard about them 10 million times.
But it becomes hard for somebody, again, who's already in the hobby. They probably even own those popular games. You know, they probably played Pandemic. They've tried all those ones, especially because a lot of them are all in the top, you know, 100 or top 50, top 10 even on Board Game Geek. So, but I was thinking about, what about someone who already has a pretty established collection? Again, it becomes more challenging when you don't know their collection outright, or you know that they love games, but again, you don't know games as well as they know games, and how to link the you know, what the ideals of the games are that they like, and match those with other games that are out there that they don't have yet or haven't played yet.
Yeah, if they have an established collection and they're into the hobby, and you can just ask them, hey, what's your favorite games? What's your favorite 5 games? Write down those names and then go search similarly rated games on Board Game Geek. Cross-reference with what they already own, and there you go.
And it does take more work, a little bit more work, I think, obviously, to do something like that. But if you're really stuck for a gift for them and a game is really what you want to get them, then it might just, you need to do a little bit more research than you would otherwise, right? There's no real way around that, I don't think. Yeah. Unless you ask them outright, what game do you want for Christmas? But again, the part of this too that I was thinking about is you're trying to surprise someone, give them something that, you know, in a way they're blown away that you actually did some research to find them something like that. Because they're probably going to recognize the game right away, again, if they're reasonably immersed in the hobby.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know, any other tricks you think? Tips, thoughts?
If all else fails, just buy them something rare and out of print, like Glory to Rome, Napoleon's Triumph, some of the more hard-to-find 18XX games. I guess that wouldn't apply to everybody.
That wouldn't apply to everybody. That would just apply for John.
I'm trying to think what else. I don't know. PAX Renaissance is hard to get now.
Oh, really?
Thanks for selling that to me, Chris. Appreciate that.
Yeah, we really enjoy that game. It's been super
great
good.
Game for us.
Yeah, we love that one.
Oh, the other thing is that you can buy them board game accessories. And
that's a good thought.
So the number one board game accessory is what we have here, which is the Faithful Game Blanket. This goes with us everywhere. Of course,
you can't play games without it.
Because you can't play a game without a board game blanket, because how would you pick up the components without damaging them?
That's right. It's true.
Cardboard pieces.
Have you actually, so we know this actually well from experience, because we've played Race for the Galaxy so many times, and it's a total card game.
Dozens of times.
Like, so many times. We've only sleeved the
they don't need to be sleeved.
They don't need to be sleeved, but we've only sleeved those. The rest of the cards are just out.
I'm just too lazy to unsleeve them.
But we played on a blanket. Our cards are perfect. We went and we played with some friends. Maybe you guys will watch this video.
We bought them the game.
We got them a game
in Math Trade. Great. In a Math Trade run by Board Game Bliss, which was great. So we got a brand new copy of Race for the Galaxy. We went over after they had it for a couple weeks. Yeah. And this game has been through the war and back. It honestly, it looks horrendous, and all they needed.
All they needed was a board game blanket.
Plus, it's nicer to put your arms on. And this is like making a poker table for everywhere you go. And
that's true.
Our friend Phil bought us these little clips, and so they're picnic clips, and they go on the edge of the table, and they hold the blanket down and snug and tight to most tables. You know, the odd table won't take them, but but we use these.
And you know what? So this is just from Fabricland.
It's just
Pretty sure
velvet.
your mom just got this for us.
Get a fuzzy velvet.
She just cut a couple different sizes, and it makes it nice because now we have a smaller one for traveling. We have a nice big one that covers our whole table. We have another bigger backup one as well. And we have just, I don't know if it's for variety of color or what, but...
Second board game accessory is card sleeves. Now, some people don't like sleeves. This is for more,
It depends on the games they would have, again, too, whether they want to.
If they have card games and more rare games, I know a lot of people don't like them. Callendale doesn't like these at all. I like them. I like how they help shuffling, and I'm kind of...
That's true. It's really nice to shuffle with card sleeves.
Because you just push the edges together.
And it's nice. You don't worry about the cards getting damaged when you do it. It does thicken the deck. I will say, like, our strategy deck for Washington's War now feels, like, monstrous in your hand. And I can't imagine if we actually did sleeve race for the Galaxy, it too would feel...
They come in colored packages.
But...
Almost all of the GMT games use silver pack, 2.5 inch by 63.5 millimeters by 88. And then some Euro games use the green sleeves, which are narrower. Final.
How many would you recommend buying if you were actually going to buy some card sleeves? Like
300.
300's for a good average.
Maybe
game?
300.
Or you're saying like that would cover a couple games?
I don't know. I just buy 300.
300. There you go. You heard it.
Because you don't know what they're going to use it on. So either of those on a couple games or one big game. Poker chips is another great accessory for games, especially if they like.
And maybe they don't even know that they need poker chips yet, but we love poker chips.
You replace no money that they ever get, no cardboard money or paper money should ever be used. Poker chips are here for this reason. They're so fast, you can count them across the table. We don't play with hidden money in any game. Anything that should be trackable.
Right.
Or that is trackable, we play open because Clear Claw says to. And he's like the godfather of all things game theory. So, he says not to, so we don't do it. There's a good set. They're called Super Diamonds. And there's one place to get the good Super Diamonds. Not all Super Diamonds are good, and these aren't them. You can't get these anymore. But Super Diamonds are very cheap. These are Great Walls.
Great Walls.
But the company's out of business. There's a 500 thread poker chip recommendations thread, and I might do a review on different poker chips.
Hopefully that will come in the new
The net of 500 pages is that the Great Walls are the best because they're high friction. The China clays, most commonly known as, or most popular, which are Majestics, Apache Majestics.
That's what we started with, right?
That's what we started with. They're very, very slippery. I know some people say they're not. JC Lawrence says that they're not. They are. I'll do a demo on another video at another time.
And we're hoping to get another set.
These are out of print. Those are usually out of stock, and they're too slippery anyway. The Super Diamonds I don't have. I hear they're great. Chris has them. Very cheap, like $2 a roll of 25. You can get somebody a great set of these. Don't buy the metal lug ones, ideally. But the Super Diamonds are cheaper, better, lighter, which they're the right weight. And Sydney, I'll get Sydney the link to post to where you can get the good ones.
Cool.
But this is a great one if they're new gamers and they don't already have a poker chip set. There's also distribution. So if you don't know what colors to get, there's recommendations for Euro games for 100 chip set, 300 chip set, all by JC Lawrence on BGG, and I can...
As you can see, I left the poker chip research to John because he is an ace at research here. So, and it's true, I've really come around. Poker chips really make a huge difference in our games.
The speed and playability.
It's really nice.
It's really good.
It's really nice. Any other accessories you think of?
Maybe a dice tower. We don't have one.
Oh, that's true.
I like a dice tower sometimes. I always roll badly, and I think that maybe a dice tower would help.
We like to have tea with our board games. If all else fails, you can always buy some
like
tea
a side table. You never put tea on the table. We have extra chairs around our table, and we put a placemat on the table and set everybody up a separate way. This is the rules of game blankets. If you give somebody a game blanket, make sure they understand that no food or drink goes near it, because that defeats the purpose of
because it's not their game blanket.
A protected game blanket. This is 101 stuff. You
guys better listen.
I don't need to reiterate
Listen up.
this. You already know this.
Cool. All right. I think that pretty much covers
Yeah, wraps it up.
Wraps up what we were kind of been talking about this week and thinking
like,
about Christmas.
comment, share, subscribe.
That's right. We want to hear from you guys.
Subscribe.
Thanks so much.
Help us get to 1,000. We're
Okay,
going to
just
1,000.
100 by Christmas would be a huge gift from you guys.
We're going to 1,000. Like, comment, share, subscribe.
Thanks. So much confidence here. All right. We'll see you next time.